Okay, folks, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly storyteller today, because today we were going to be playing our continuing Savage Worlds Marvel game, but we're down a player today. We couldn't find any folks who were filling in, so I suggested to John take this opportunity for me to introduce him to a game that I have loved for 20 plus years now, and that is White Wolf's and now Onyx Press Studios' outstanding Mage, the Ascension, and this is the 20th anniversary edition. With me today is John.
Hey everyone, I'm John. You can deal with me and Kevin today.
We apologize for starting a little late. We were just doing a little bit of introduction to explain to John sort of what's going, what the general gist of Mage is. But the long and the short, for those who are not familiar with the game, is that this is a game of modern magic, and magic with an M with a K on the end. I don't want to get too lost in the description in this, because I think that I often have far too much to say about this game. I love the idea behind this game. I think what will be more interesting is just to jump in and start playing, and then we'll sort of address things as we go. So, I mentioned to John beforehand that I thought it would be fun to try and set something closer to his neck of the woods than continually setting things in either Canada or a fantasy version of Canada like I am wont to do. So, John, you are playing today a resident of Salem, Oregon. You work as a private detective, and you are a mage who is part of the, broadly speaking, the organized group of kind of, I don't want to say traditionalist mages, because that's explaining something with the same word, but you're part of the older traditions, or a collection of older traditions of magic that call themselves as traditions. You are from the Order of Hermes, and specifically you got your training from an occultist from the House Cryamon in the Order of Hermes. But where our scene starts is in your house. Now, I think from what I read is that there is a lovely little sub-district called West Salem, that is a nice kind of, it's the only one that is apparently in Polk County, and it is a more, it is very much, what I've read online is that Salem has the moniker of being the tree city, because it has more green spaces than any other place in the U.S.
We're also in the pollen capital of the United States during the springtime.
So. Oh, nice. So
yes, West Salem is the greener part. It's over the bridge to the river, and it's where more of the upper class people live.
Okay, so it's in one of those older houses that our story will open. Your building or your actual office as a PI is at a nearby place, but where we open up is with you. You don't sleep with an alarm clock. You sleep because there is something upstairs that is banging around in the attic that will awaken you. So you hear, it almost sounds like a low peal of thunder that kind of rolls, that wakes you up. And if you look outside, you can see it's the start of a bright and sunny day. It's summertime in Salem, or probably late spring, early summer in Salem, and there's not a cloud in the sky. But you would know that rumbling, your house has the distinction of being one of the oldest houses in West Salem, and one of the few taller buildings in West Salem, a 3-story building that actually survived a horrific storm in the mid 19th century. Everything else was either burned down from lightning strikes or whatnot. Yours is the only one that survived. And the ornery storm spirit that came riding along with that, it somehow got itself trapped in here. So there is a 150-year-old storm spirit that happens to also reside in your attic. You and it have come to an accommodation and an understanding So it wakes you up, but it is the thing that wakes you up. So with the rumbling upstairs, you look at the clock, you realize, oh, it's probably time to be getting up. Why don't you tell us, what does it look like in your room? What does your bedroom look like?
It's got... He tries to hide his abilities as a mage, so he doesn't have, like, you know, glyphs or everything hiding around, but he does have, you know, like a whiteboard up with a whole bunch of, like, cases on it, but behind it, it kind of peels off, and he's got his magic stash behind it. He sees it's kind of tilted open a bit. Maybe he was doing something late night, looking into a case.
Okay.
And his cat's over there pawing at it, trying to get it open.
Okay.
And otherwise, it's just... Picture him about his, you know, late 20s, and it's probably strewn with laundry he's been too busy to deal with, and he's got the sun just coming right through the window. It once about hits like 11 o'clock or something. It's right in his eyes, so he can't sleep too late.
Okay. So yeah, it seems that what do you think the name of the storm spirit upstairs is?
That's a good question. Are we thinking human, or is it one of those extra...
They are ephemeral things, so they can... I think that by being stuck behind, it probably would have a bigger sense of identity of itself, but it probably was not... It may have been understood as a haunting by non-mages, and it may have made the house... Like, there's a reason that you kind of got this place for relatively cheap. When you interact with it, though, that may cause them to change as well. It's kind of like a Schrodinger's cat situation where by observing it, you sort of, or not Schrodinger's cat, I'm using the wrong metaphor here, but by observing something, you're altering the outcome. And by observing spirits and interacting with them, it may have been, creating more of a personality for itself than what it had before. And for some reason, it's just, there is a metaphysical connection to it. And whether you're trying to free it or not, or you've just come to an accommodation and it's happy here, it's been here since you bought the place, years ago.
It's called a Cyclona.
Okay. So, I think you would know that anywhere in the house, Cyclona can hear you. So, Cyclona seems to suggest with the sound of the thunder, like you can hear it shaking the walls even.
Yeah, he groans and says, I'm awake. Don't roar, please.
Okay. So, getting up, what if you're making your way through the home, where do you think your bedroom is? Is it on the highest level, on the second level?
I would say it'd be probably the first level.
First level, okay.
Yeah, probably towards the area of the house. It's mostly surrounded like an earth berm up against the hill. Okay.
So you get, you get yourself out, and maybe it's like it might have been like a lounge or some other, like it originally built as something else, and you just repurpose it as your bedroom. You may not make use of the other stuff, the other parts of the house all that much, apart from storing things. But what we would see coming out is one of your backgrounds is library, and you have a very impressive accumulation of esoteric...
Entire second floor.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that's all up there. So you head yourself into the... to get your... Like, what do you think? You getting your breakfast? You do need to be at the office at some point today.
He'll probably just grab his wrinkled coat, his little badge that he likes to wear, and probably pop a burrito into his microwave real quick to eat something on the way.
Okay. So you've got that in there. You feed the cats, I guess, and then
he'll snap up a book that he just thinks he might need later on, and then head on out.
Okay. So you make your way out, and I'm picturing that your house is probably, it's one of those older houses that has like the much larger than it justifies lot, and it probably
and a huge
looks
driveway. Yeah,
and it probably looks a lot shittier than what some of the surrounding houses have as well. But this is where your kind of arcane comes in, where like maybe when you're stepping out, even if there are more, older or more conscious of the property neighbors, they sort of, someone kind of waves at you as they're cutting their lawn early on.
He gets down to his gate and he sees a piece of paper on it from the homeowners association. Third warning about his lawn.
Yeah. So
He crumples it up and throws it away.
and I think that's when you hear a voice saying, Dorian, you got to do something about this lawn. And you look down, and there is a tan-colored, looks like a cross. Definitely a pit bull's in there somewhere, but it's a dog that has maybe a bit of boxer, maybe a bit of pit bull in it, who's sitting on your lawn and looking at you.
I'm aware of that. But they won't let me have goats.
Oh, you want goats around here? Them things are just awful to talk to. And this is Lou. Lou is whether he's an animal that awakened or whether it's a spirit that's in an animal that just happens to be riding it, you're not quite clear. But Lou seems to enjoy your company because he doesn't enjoy the company of other dogs all that much.
Dorian will take another bite of his burrito and then toss the rest of it to Lou.
Oh, he snaps it up. So, what do you got on the agenda for today?
Yeah. Scratches the stubble because he forgot to shave. And I don't know. Schedule's clear, but I feel like something important's happening.
All right. Well, let's head down. And he turns and starts walking along. Do you have any luck looking into that surveillance stuff yet? That's a paying gig. Probably
nope,
not.
I completely forgot about that.
Oh, it's a wonder you're able to keep the lights on in either of these places.
How do I do that? Then he whistles, Lou, you can take the car. It's 10 miles.
All right. So he scampers over. It's probably a routine thing for you. What kind of car do you think that Dorian drives?
He probably keeps it low. So it's like a tiny little old Ford Festiva, little two-seater with a barely in the back and it's manual stick. And he's probably got the passenger seat just set up so Lou could sit there.
Now, one thing we're going to do before you go, you get in, you open the door, and Lou kind of hops into the front seat of this thing, and then you're like, oh, wait, we're going to have you go back and check the spirit seals. You've got wards on your house. Can't have just anything, especially with the amount of spirits that one of the things for those listening at home that Dorian has is a merit called Spirit Magnet. So he has spirits just seem to want to come and talk to Dorian.
Yeah, if I let it get in the house, they're never going to get out. 1 second, Lou.
Yeah. Oh, Cyclona is definitely evidence of that. So, let's talk about, we talked a little before we went live about how you think of magic in this one, in the 20th anniversary edition. And it's a combination of your paradigm, your practices, and your instruments. So there is probably wording on this that is reflective of that high ritual tradition. So what do you think there are? Is there a carved mantle above that you've got on? Is there special salts that you keep around the house? Are there things you place underneath the doormat? What do you think?
I think it would start at the gate, and he's probably got some looping runic script that just runs around the top rail of the gate, all around the outside.
Okay.
And then on the house itself, he's probably got little runics along the inside mantles of every door and window.
Oh, love it. Okay.
And then so they're all interlinked. So if one of them goes out like a Christmas light, something down the chain will start having issues.
Okay. And how do you think that you access the spirit world? How do you think your magic, what would you use as instruments to... one of the things that we did, I didn't mention before, is your arete is at a 3 right now. I'm using some house rules in this, but once you get your arete to a certain point, you can start abandoning your instruments, and using them just makes it easier to work magic. But at this stage, you're not quite powerful enough to just abandon anything and just work your will directly on the other world. So what do you think to be able to check the integrity of these things, what do you think the magical instrument you're using is?
I think he started off with a monocle when he was younger, and he's maybe adapted them into some sunglasses that he just snaps over his eyes to see the runic script. But he's got a more of a utensil or a modified pen that he actually interacts with it with.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So he's got to have the glasses on to see it in a certain manner.
Yeah.
And then he can use it to like trace symbols in the air and then push it into the
Well,
script
maybe
itself.
there's something about the pen too. Maybe it's the pen of it was the pen of an author who died while writing with it in his hand. So there's some other kind of portentous, connection with it. So you've got this. You got your dead man's pen out. You put your glasses on. It sounds like the glasses as well are something quite personal.
I think that when he mixes the ink for the pen, he uses maybe a drop of his own blood because he's got that spirit magnet thing. So the ink itself attracts the spirits and keep them away from the inside of the house.
Okay. So then, let's see here. So then what we're going to... Oh, and we're also going to start with... if you go in the character sheet, you should be able to add little... dots around the... Starting at that where the dot is... will give you 2 points of quintessence as well. Yeah, that's the maximum that your avatar can have. Quintessence you can spend. This is just magical energy you've got connected to your soul. There are other ways to do it too. Like you may be able to collect. I picture that part of your regular ritual is also going to maybe like some of the more primal green spaces, or maybe collecting, rainfall on a new moon or something like that. Like some stuff that has some kind of ritual connection that can be tangible. Quintessence that you would use in addition to when working in magic. So
Probably why he lets Cyclona stick around so much, because she stirs up the spirit either a bit.
Okay. Yeah. That makes it keep the it's they call it the veil. I think it's the. Is it called the veil? I think it's called the veil, but it's when you're stepping from the mortal world into the spirit world, it's piercing the veil and the. I don't think it's called the veil. Is it the envelope? I don't remember.
The veil sounds cooler.
Veil sounds pretty cool, yeah. But and I guess it's magic, so it's mage. It doesn't really matter what we can call it, whatever we want. Yeah. So then, what we're going to do? I think this is coincidental. So it's going to be the highest level of the sphere plus 3. So you've got your glass, because it's all anyone is seeing. You're just looking at things. So you were also using a unique instrument from the way you describe those glasses. That's something that's very particular to you. So it'll reduce the difficulty by 1. And this is just Spirit 1. So it's going to be a difficulty of 3. Let me think if there's any... I don't think there's anything else that's going on here. Assuming you're not... But you could also... This is where the taking the extra time really comes in. So if we take an extra time on this and you're very carefully observing these things, you can reduce the difficulty, I'll say for this one, probably by a maximum of 1. So that would bring it down to a 2.
I think he's very particular about keeping his house free of other spirits, so he will take the time on this at
Excellent.
least.
So why don't you give us a... this will be an arete roll, and you're going to have a difficulty of 2.
Okay. Magic. DP of 2?
Yeah. No, the DP is the dice pool.
Okay.
Let's see here. It should be setting at 3.
Okay.
And
difficulty 2.
Difficulty 2, yeah. Let's see if that rolls properly. That did not.
Okay, let's try that again. So, magic, DP mod, nothing. Yep. Difficulty 2. There we go.
There we go. Perfect. All right, that's awesome. So what you can see, why don't you tell us what is it that you think you see as you look into sort of the spirit world?
So he like flicks the goggles on, or the glasses down, and it kind of it doesn't like cut out the light like you think sunglasses do, but it causes the spirit energies to like come out like shadows, so that makes things a little bit darker and dimmer, and the little motes of where his script are, little lights that seem to shine. Yep. And he sees others, like the guy who talked to him, one of his neighbors shows up as a little spot of white in a vaguely humanoid shape off to the left, and Cyclona he can see inside is kind of a swirling kind of grayish matter, because she's not human. And then he sees his scripts, and some of them are flickering, and he's like, Cyclona woke me up because this is getting bad.
Yeah, I think that the added benefit to the warding, Cyclona seems to be staying here out of choice at this point, and that kind of keeps hurt or them safe, because it keeps other spirits out as well. So it's coming up on the month, so you're probably going to want to collect some stuff to be able to make that working. It'll take probably hours to go through the whole thing and get those wards back active again.
Yeah, and I think he might even notice that something had been nibbling on one of the runes, maybe a spirit.
Quite possibly.
That shouldn't have been doing it.
Yeah.
And so he'll shake his head in his pen and realize it's kind of low on ink, and he's got just enough to take care of it today.
Yeah, so you sort of touch up some stuff from today, but yeah, you're going to have to. You've got your own quintessence to help with that, but for an extended working like this, that's going to take hours. In game terms, it'll take a number of different separate roles. You may want to collect some sources of quintessence to try and assist with that as well. In this case, it would be like whatever enchanted ink or special ink that you're going to use to fuse with your magic or your blood. So with that, then Lou says, "Are we going today or what?" from the front seat of your car.
You just want some of the treats in the office. And he snaps his pen closed, lifts up his glasses, and says, "Yeah, we're going."
Okay. So you drive across the on your way to your office, and I think as you're going along, there's one intersection near where your it's probably a four-way intersection near where your office is. From what I can tell from the photos, this is not a skyscraper-ridden neighborhood.
There is one bad intersection right as you come over from West Salem over the bridge into the downtown area. That intersection sucks.
Okay, so that's where actually we're passing. When you can see there is another spirit that and you just sort of know him as Dead Guy Dave, because Dave was I think he was not a panhandler, but like a homeless person who would beg at that intersection when people were stopped. He'd go over and whatnot. He was unfortunately run over and killed by a car, but his spirit seems to be lingering here. He doesn't see anyone really, or at least people don't see him generally. But he has ways of sort of interacting with people in a. In the way that you would expect haunting stuff to do. Like people sometimes see stuff drop out of their purses or whatnot. He still seems to be fixated on getting that money. But he also has a really good, because he's here all the time, he also has a good sense of the, of what's going on kind of in the immediate area. So you go by and he still looks like, he unfortunately has the look of after he was killed. So he has the markings of having died in that, but he's a very friendly spirit. So as you're driving by, he sort of waves at you.
I look at him as I drive by and just wave back and just keep going.
Yeah, Lou says, "Dave's looking good today."
He looks like he got ran over, Lou.
Well, all things considered.
Still don't know how you can see them too.
You can hear his tail's going to thump, 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 thump against the door. So why don't you tell us where you park and what does your office look like?
So he takes like a right almost immediately after the intersection and goes down about 2 blocks where there's a homeless shelter / veteran support center, and his office is right across from it, up above the parking garage. Okay. It's probably the only place he can afford. But yeah, he pulls it up and over, and it's brick outer layment, nice, well insulated, but it's like a third story in the most of the third story areas downtown.
Okay. And do you have the whole floor, or is it just the one office on that floor?
You can only afford like one of the offices.
Okay.
So it's you take a left and it's all the way at the back and then on the left.
Okay.
So
you get there, and is it a walk up or is it an elevator?
You could do both to get up there,
okay.
But he's mostly near the stairs because he doesn't trust death boxes. He's one too many ghosts in the elevators.
Okay. So you make your way up the stairs. Have you grabbed a coffee or something like that from a nearby place, or you drive by?
He would have forgotten to do that, and we'll probably have somebody run it over from a local Starbucks.
Okay. Okay.
Use an Uber.
Yeah, so maybe you're on the phone and you're ordering that too, and Lou is probably asking for, get a sausage roll too.
3. He'll order 3.
Okay. So you are ordering that, and you get to the top of the stairs, and what you see is there's probably the hallway leading down to your office as well, and there seems to be someone who is loitering outside of that. She is... it looks like she is... I think she's probably mixed race. She's African American, but quite light, and she's dressed in kind of it's sort of what like you would expect a business person to wear for casual clothes on a work day. So she's not wearing like a suit or something like that, but it's something that is still quite nice and probably quite expensive. She has a fairly expensive purse near her side. There's a light coat she's got on. She has short hair that's pulled up into kind of a bun in a like a tasteful kind of way. And you make no mistake, she's standing definitely outside of your office. And she looks over and seems to be trying to figure out if you are the person she's waiting for.
He'll clip. He's still got one of those flip phones because he's old fashioned. He clips it shut and puts it in his pocket and then flicks his badge. Like, I hope you haven't been waiting long. I overslept.
She says, "Are you Mr. Kettle?"
Yes.
Thank you. I wasn't sure I had the right place. Is that your dog?
This is Lou. He's almost a human.
He barks at her. She kind of takes back. Oh. And she kind of looks at your door. There's probably some mail that's piled up in the front. Not a huge pile of it, but like it's been delivered maybe 2 days, and you haven't been in the office in 2 days.
He goes over there and like grabs it up real quick, and he sees like 80% of them are like due notices, and he just walks and throws it in the trash.
Okay. So you had a circular file. Yeah. So you head in, toss it in, and what do we see as you make your way into your office? Is it only one room, or is there is a reception area and then there's a separate room for?
There's like 3 different rooms and then a bathroom. The first one's a reception area. And Lou runs over there, hops on the seat, and then as Dorian passes him, he picks up the little hat he had made for him and puts him on his head for like detective.
Okay.
And it's actually much cleaner in here than his house. Like everything is meticulously put away. Yeah. Opens up into his office, and then off to the side, he's got another small library with specialized books in it. It's even got a few plants in there that seem to be thriving. So
as she comes in, she smells. It smells like a library in here.
Yes. We try to keep the bookworms to a minimum. They love old papyrus.
And she looks at you kind of curiously. Forgive me. My name is Sonia Darville.
It's Dorian Kettle, when he reaches out to give her a light handshake.
She shakes. She's probably in her, you'd guess in her like maybe early 30s. She has a wedding ring on, and she says, you came recommended. I'm actually in from Chicago, but
on flight.
It was what what flights are nowadays. Should we talk here, or do you have an office?
Oh, yes, I do. Let me hang up your coat if you like, and we'll get you situated. The best chairs are in the office.
Okay. She says, he takes her coat off. She hangs it up. She first kind of looks around us for where things are going to go, and Lou kind of, barks and points in the direction of a coat rack, and she says, it's a smart dog.
Almost human.
So she comes in and says, you've come recommended through work colleagues. I'm not from here.
Interesting line of work you must be in to get my name.
It's been difficult trying to find someone appropriate for the... I understand that you find people.
Among other things, yes.
Well, and she reaches down into her purse. She opens it up and brings out a picture. And the picture is that kind of like 70s quality where it's like washed out. Or maybe 70s or 80s quality where the film is just doesn't have enough it's like silver in it, so it makes the colors all look kind of garish. But it's a picture of, it looks like a young African American woman and a young African American man, or I should say girl and boy, because they look like they're probably in their teens. Big smiles on their faces. Looks like it's the kind of photo that like families would take or parents would take of their kids. They're standing in front of some kind of like, like the teacups kind of ride at a carnival, something like that. And she puts it down, and then she says, "I have an older brother named Daryl, and Daryl has had a challenging life. Daryl served in Iraq, and when he came back, he seemed to have a great deal of difficulty transitioning to life after Iraq."
Doran will look at her and then kind of casually glance out the window, just overseeing the veterans homeless shelter oversight, and there's a few spirits over there that, didn't quite leave after their unfortunate accidents, and he'll nod and understand.
We're originally from the Chicago area. Daryl and I grew up there, and our parents are still there. Our father has passed on, but Mom is still around. Daryl, afterwards, well, he found himself homeless, and then he found himself wandering. I had hired someone in Portland because we understood that he had found his way there and was living in Portland. But they found that he had relocated here to Salem. I understand you have some camps that have sprung up of late, and I don't mean anything to hurt Daryl, but Mom is sick, and I think that whatever other challenges he is going through, if he's not there when Mom passes, Dad going was hard for him. I just want him to know what's happening, and that he has a ticket back to Chicago if he would like to take it. So what I need you to do, Mr. Kettle, is to find Daryl.
How well informed are you of my methods?
I don't know anything of I've never dealt with a private investigator or whatever you call yourself before. The people I dealt with in Portland, they provided a report afterwards with photographs, but they were not able to locate Daryl himself directly. They only knew that he came here, and I can provide what information I have. And she reaches in the purse and pulls out a folded up. This is what they had prepared as their investigation. Anything?
He'll glance at the folder and sigh and go, "Amateurs." And he'll tap the picture and say, "Do you have anything more recent of him, or maybe a personal effect, something he's touched or?"
I have this, and she pulls out and gives you a photograph that was. It's now It looks like her, but probably about maybe 10 years younger, or like in that range. Her hair's a little longer, her clothes are a little more casual, and there is a young African American man in a uniform, in a U.S. Army uniform. It's just, I have this. If this helps, I don't have anything else of his. He left everything behind. The only thing I know that he has is he still has his dog tags.
That is some useful information. Okay, he'll kind of gather things up and lean forward and say, as far as my fee, you can pay me when I find him. And he stresses the when part.
Is there a retainer that you require?
No.
To
the veterans are close to my heart, and he tilts his head to the window.
She looks and says, "I understand. I see why you came recommended then."
Yeah. Lou's a rescue pup. His owner perished, and he's mine now.
I see. Well, I think I've found the right man for the job then.
Okay, and he'll just as one moment he'll grab a different pen and write like a receipt with his fee on there.
Okay.
And just push it over to her and say, "I'll contact you when I have found him, and ideally, I'll be bringing him with me."
Good. Then I'll be in town for another day or so. I can't stay longer, but assuming there's a Hilton in Salem, some kind of hotel.
There is, however, you might have to go as far north as Kaiser to find one that's amenable as far as being within a good price range.
I am fortunate that price is not an issue. So
well, it's also got a fairly good set of restaurants around it too. You won't have to deal with traffic.
Oh, well, thank you for the suggestion.
Minutes.
I'll change hotels. You can reach me at the Hilton in Kaiser. So she gets up, she shakes your hand. My number is on the back, or so I've attached my card, which has my cell written on it. Contact me if you require anything else, or if you have any news.
Okay.
So,
Appreciate your time, ma'am.
She leaves. She walks out of the door, and once she leaves, she closes the door behind her. Lou looks at you and says, "There's something off about her."
Yeah, but paying job.
You keep the lights on for another day.
And sausages.
And you hear a knock at the door. The either Uber Eats or whatever the service that you've ordered brings the food, your coffee and your food in. And yeah, so
he'll put the food in, pull a book out of his library, and say, "All right, Lou, let's go talk to Dead Dave."
All right. He hops. He kind of shakes his head so that hat falls off. Hops off, and then he follows along after you. After snatching one of the sausage rolls. We're a couple minutes early. Why don't we take our mid-session break now, and then we'll come back and do dive into this investigation.
Nice.
Okay. So for those listening at home, we'll be back momentarily. Sorry, somebody did not want to come back inside. It's beautiful out today.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Even here.
Oh,
The skies
nice.
are usually cloudy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's going to be gorgeous. I got lunch with my son and his girlfriend later today, so
That
a beautiful day.
picture you got of Salem, I know that exact view.
Oh, nice. Where's it from?
So not far from the Salem Memorial, not Salem, the Salem Memorial Hospital.
Oh, okay, cool.
So there's a nice park. It's not the Owl Park, but it's not far off. So
Nice. Yeah, it looks like I was looking at photos of it last night just to get a sense of like what I could play with as far as the setting is, and it looks gorgeous. Like, it looks like a really, really nice area.
yeah, we've got the Owl Park has signs saying, during this time of the year, be careful, the owls will swoop at you.
Nice.
It's also the park I proposed at. So
Oh, no kidding. Oh, is that ever cool? Okay. The how far is it from Sublimity?
just a quick, well, depending on where you're going in Salem, to get to my office where I'm work, which is like dead center in Salem, it's a 20-minute drive.
Okay.
So, but it's mostly 10 minutes to get there and 10 minutes to get through Salem. So,
Got it.
no, it's not the biggest city. That's that Portland and area up there. But
Yeah.
Salem's, I think, want to say the 5th largest city in Salem, in Oregon.
Well, it said that like, once you add in the surrounding areas too, it gets quite big.
That's sprawling.
Yeah. So cool. All right. So then, let's quickly talk about your other your abilities, just because the some of these it'll be intuitive as to what they actually do, and some of them it's a little. They're not as obvious. So what? I'll just go through sort of the way I've got them on the left to right here, starting with talents. Awareness is the supernatural part. It's kind of like it's the uncanny perceptions. This is the like supernatural. Alertness is spotting things, or what we would roll as perception or whatnot. Awareness is the is that connection to the other natural kind of stuff.
So I'm guessing with the 1 point in each is that he's not like the most aware private detective. He usually leans on his magical talents more than.
But here's the
physical
upside:
ones.
is that you'd be using, depending on whether you are being conscious of trying to make the search, or whether you are just it's instinctively to see if you pick it up. Would be using perception or wits. Your perception or wits
Gotcha.
are really good.
Okay, so he's naturally inclined. It's just he leans more on his natural talents than
Exactly. This
Then
game for the
study.
dice pools, they don't really make a difference. There not really. There isn't really a difference between the dice that come from stats and the dice that come from abilities. There's other games where there's either different kinds of dice or whatever. That's not the case in classic World of Darkness. It's whatever. So because you are. You've got a really good perception, really good wit score. It's not really even a couple of dice in that is going to be quite reflect that you're quite good at it.
Okay.
Empathy is picking up. It's what you would think of maybe as insight in D&D. It's an innate sense of the emotional energies, and it says combined with mind-based effects, empathy can be a potent tool or weapon in the hand of awakened characters. Streetwise is the underworld is your home, and you know it pretty well. So this is the using it to talk to things like thieves or outlaws, or sex workers, or underground clubs, or homeless folks. That is what you would use that for, and then we figure out what stat you'd be using in connection with that.
I like exactly how this worked out. That his office is right across from a veteran, which it is. There's actually a veterans homeless shelter right there in Salem near the bridge. And the story's about locating a.
I'll tell you the one of the things that my first introduction before I bought the first edition of Mage, I read a review of it in either Challenge magazine or White Wolf magazine, and I can't remember which one it was. But the way that they described it, like to sell the game, is that like this the way you could you easily start a mage adventure is having 3 mages run into one another on the boat to Alcatraz without having planned to run into each other, and they all say, a portentous meeting. I suppose we'll see what happens. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. So it was funny hearing you say something akin to that early on. I'm like, yeah, that's why I love this game. So firearms will make sense. Drive will make sense. Martial arts as opposed to brawl is you have some formal training in defending yourself as opposed to just the instinctive ability to throw fists kind of stuff. Research is looking up research is looking up information.
And melee are like actual weapons like bats and stuff, right?
Melee is armed weapons.
Okay.
I don't think I put the blinds up. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna put the blinds up for her.
Yep.
Hey, who are you yelling at, Hubert? Okay, I'll open them. Sorry. Yeesh. Can't imagine where I'd get the idea for a yappy dog. I don't know.
Well, it's perfect. I like it.
Okay, so then your so research is locating sources of information like public libraries, private archives, internet searches, occult collections, verbal lore, and so forth. Stealth is stealth, survival. Technology is this is the familiarity with basically it's reflects how tech savvy your character is. I read an article recently about how apparently some younger folks who are growing up only with smart devices and stuff, like they don't know where files are saved when you download them, or things like some of the basic DOS interactions. Or not DOS, but like the operating system interactions that we would know having grown up through the length of the internet. Yep. That's what technology is. So the computer is making specific use of information technology.
Probably be using it for hacking if you tried, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would definitely use it if you were hacking. Yeah, in your level, you're a dabbler, so you got basic computer skills for your time and place.
So I can find where the file's stored.
Exactly. You can format a drive or something like that. Cosmology is a understanding of the outer worlds. Of the spirit realm. So this is what you would use to navigate or to chart a course through the Umbra, or to identify where things are from, where different spirits might be from. Enigmas is something that is often used. It is puzzles, riddles, artistic themes, uncanny entities. It's often used to communicate with things that don't have clear, they don't have a way of thinking that corresponds with humans. So enigmas is sometimes there are vastly powerful spirit entities that just do not think. They are sentient, but they don't have minds like humans, or have difficulty communicating with humans. That's what enigmas is used for, to sort of make sense of that mechanically.
So kind of how he understands Cyclona and the
exactly.
Spirit.
Yeah. And then investigation, this is... Yeah, as opposed to research, which is looking up information, investigation is the research is more of the finding media for information. Investigation is more finding actual clues, if that makes sense. The investigation is what you would use maybe in connection with Streetwise, for instance, gotcha. to uncover information.
So research is gathering the evidence, investigation is finding what you want inside of it.
Yeah, so investigation suggested specialties. We haven't talked about specialties yet because I always forget about them. But examples of using investigation are interrogation, deduction, forensics, crime scene, criminal psychology, spotting clues, personal details, paranormal investigation. So that's what you would be using that for, as opposed to the Streetwise, which is more specialties in there are different areas of talking to people. Law is just understanding how the law works, and as a PI, you have a rudimentary understanding of that. And then occult is the understanding of the mystical world as sleepers, as non-awakened individuals understand it. So this is there is something called hedge magic in the setting, where mages often refer to them as sorcerers. It's people who, as opposed to mage, like true mages who can work a wide variety of magics, these are people who have learned specific ways to make reality respond the way they want. Because they're not working true magic, they don't risk paradox in that way, but they're a lot more limited in what they can do. You know, it's someone who's learned certain magic spells they are literally kind of like the secret words or secret codes to the universe, because it's a way of still cheating the universe without triggering paradox. Gotcha. That would also cover that. So people who aren't true mages out there. It's neat because in the game you can actually, like, if you choose to, you can play a mix of different characters in the game. Where you have like some people playing mages, some sorcerers, some might play awakened spirits like Lou, some might play mundane people. If you really go wild, you can mix and match like vampire and werewolf into, but that gets away from it because those games seem to be focused very much on their own parts of the world. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a neat aspect of the game. But so that's your ability. I just want to give you that sense so you could talk about how to engage the investigation through game mechanics if you choose, and then all of those can also be affected by your magic as well. Because in the game, magic is not just like a set of spells. It's inherent to your character, and you can incorporate it into all the different things that you do to augment or to otherwise affect your. They usually work in concert with some of your abilities, as opposed to using a spell to resolve something, as opposed to using mundane abilities. Okay, so what do you wish to do next then? What are you going to go do?
I think we go talk to Dead Dave over by the intersection.
Okay.
Because it's a pretty busy intersection from all different areas, and maybe he's seen something, heard something, and if not, there's the other homeless people that are living. Sure.
So let's do this. Why don't you give us because Dead Guy Dave is constantly there, so he sees a lot. That's a lot of information for a limited person to process. Let's have you make a. Let's see here. You go to the sheet. I think it'll be investigation and. Probably manipulation.
So die pool of 6?
Yeah, so if you go to the top, actually, if you go to one of the dice pool ones, click on the cog, you can do drop down, you can select what attribute, and you can select what stat.
Manipulation and investigation.
Yeah, and difficulty will be 6 here.
Okay.
I'll give it -1 because you actually, it'll be a 5 because you get along quite well with Dead Guy Dave.
Okay. No mod, difficulty 5.
Okay. 4 successes, nice. All right, so what? As you do, you just walk over to the intersection. It's not. It sounds like it's not far from your.
It's just like 2 blocks away.
Okay.
He'll walk over there. Make a show of talking to Lou as kind of a distraction because there's a guy talking to himself on the side of the road. I mean, that's unusual.
Yeah, I think what you see is there's someone like in the mundane world. There's a guy who stopped at the stoplight, and then suddenly he's like, "What the shit?" And then there's stuff that's forming on his windshield, and he's like, "Oh, come on!" And he hits the wipers on it to try and get whatever smudges off there. And what you can see in the spirit world is Dead Guy Dave is out there kind of wiping off his windshield, and then as soon as he starts spraying, he's like, "Hey, come on!" He looks over at you. Well, hey, Dorian. And he walks over, and again, I'm not going to put a photo up of it, but you can picture the gruesome, fatal car accident, pedestrian car accident that took him. But he's a friendly guy. Oh, hey, Dorian.
Dorian will pull out a 5 and say, "Hey, Dave, you got a minute? Want to ask you some questions?"
Yeah, sure. he, if you hand it over, he sort of like there's a spiritual version that sort of like he picks up and then stuffs in. Yeah, you don't got to pay.
Yes. Then Dorian will pull out the picture of the newest one that he got and says, "I got a client looking for a missing brother. He's a vet. Went through some trouble over in Iraq, and his mom's dying, and I'm looking for him."
Oh, that's
you seen him?
He's kind of focusing. I think what you might need to do, because the dead still have like he's only seeing things in the spirit realm. I'm not going to make you cast a spell to be able to see that, but he is he's probably he probably still only sees things in the Umbra, which has like a hazy reflection. You can't make out details and stuff. So how do you think you would work magic to make that clear to him?
There's an option under perception and psychic powers to like share perceptions that I wonder I could use.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So that definitely would be. I think. Yeah. So you could have him share your view of the mortal world.
It says mind 2 or appropriate sphere 1.
And this would be spirit 1. Okay. Spirit 1 allows you to see things. So I think between your spirit and mind, you definitely you have the ability to do that. So let's talk about how does Dorian cast the magic to do that? Knowing his things, and again, like you may have thought of this already. Like you've dealt with dead guy Dave. It sounds like you've dealt with him as a contact before. So this could be something you did before you went to prepare things.
Yeah, on the back of the photo, he's sketched a little kind of rune in it with invisible ink.
Okay.
And then all he's got to do is just push a little bit of spirit power into it, and it starts to glow, and it basically the radiance will shine into the spirit realm, kind of illuminating the photo for him. Yeah,
I love that. Okay, so then this is going to be it's coincidental magic. It requires I think the highest sphere in here is 2. And I like the way you describe that because it doesn't, if you incorporate more than one sphere into a casting, it actually pushes the difficulty up by 1. So in this case, because you're only really using spirit just to make something manifest in the spirit world, that's going to be a 2 to speak to spirits. So the difficulty is a 5 to start with. Okay. Then it'll be... I'll let you drop it down by 1 because this is a spirit you've dealt with before. So I imagine you've done this approach. So let's say it's an arete roll against a difficulty of 4.
Okay, 4.
And you can spend quintessence to bring that down further if you'd like.
Is that takes place before I roll or after?
Before you roll. Willpower you can spend. I believe you can spend willpower afterwards. Let me double check. I know that. There we go. Willpower. One thing that I will say for this, a fantastic index in the back here. Here, 257. Which is good for such a massive book. 330. Okay. Willpower can be spent 2. Get an automatic success. You may only spend 1 this way. You can avoid when you roll a botch. You can avoid paradox backlash. You can ignore all wound conditions. So you can't spend it to re-roll, but you can spend willpower to get an automatic success. I think you could do that after you roll as well. Doesn't say you can't, so I'd let you do that.
Okay, we'll resort to that if this fails.
If need
so
be,
you said difficulty 4?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, speaking of damn botches.
So how about that willpower?
Okay. Well, here's the thing. You actually, you're going to need to spend. You only spend willpower once per turn. You botch the casting roll. Now, hold on. Let me just double check what a botch is, because I think it's a botch is when you're rolling. It's not when you roll a 1. It's when you roll. What was the difficulty? Was it 4 or was it 3?
Yes.
4. Oh.
You said it was 5 to start with, then -1.
Yes.
Familiarity.
Okay, hold on. Then actually that might be, because I think it's when you roll no successes and you roll more than 1 on it. Hold on here. Botch. It's not in the index here.
Wait a minute, that only rolled 3 die. Shouldn't I get...
No, you only roll 3 because that's your arete.
Oh.
Yeah, you only get to roll equal to your arete when you're casting magic. There can be ways to affect that. Like, for instance, if you're using a different an ability, every second success on that would give you an extra success on it.
Gotcha.
Potentially towards it, but this was, like you said, a very relatively simple thing. But let me see here. Where's here? Playing the game. Sorry, I couldn't find it in the index. So let's just look it up, because it changes. The way botches roll are different across the different editions of the game.
I was having so many different ways this had gone wrong in my head.
Let's see here. Okay, dramatic systems. Okay. I have a sense that there's just a quick description at the beginning about the rules that I just have yet to find. And for those listening at home, it's been years and years and years since I've run this, so my apologies for having to look stuff up here, but here we go. Nope, so not in the lexicon. There we go, not in there. That's basics of magic, which is helpful but not the rules. Where's the basics of the rules? There we go. Familiar enemies. Nope. A lot of background stuff before we get to... There we go. It's creating a character. Prelude, avatars and essences. Core abilities.
Watching in the rule of 1, 393.
Okay, 393. Thank you. All right, here we go. So, game-wise, every time you roll a 1, it takes away 1 success from your roll. Think of this as a roll of 1. A 1 cancels one of your successes. Let's see here. If you roll several 1s and no successes, then you botch in a big way. So maybe you didn't botch. Let's see here. Assuming that you rolled even 1 success before the 1s cancel out your successes, then your character simply fails. But if you don't roll any successes and you roll a 1, then you botch. That's when things get ugly.
Yep.
Okay, botches in magic. A botch on a coincidental effect inflicts 1 automatic paradox point for every dot in the highest sphere involved. So, but you can spend willpower to avoid that.
Yeah, because that'd be 3.
That'd be 2, because your highest level...
Oh.
Right, because it's 2?
It would be mind 2 or spirit 1, but I have spirit of 3.
No, but you roll on what you're using, not what your capabilities are.
Okay.
You only need a spirit 2 to be able to communicate with spirits, so that's... and you didn't say that you wanted the thing to manifest in the spirit realm. You just wanted this spirit to be able to see it.
Exactly.
So that's I would take that as just being communicating with the spirit. So then, but your willpower, which was 330, I think. There we go. When your mage botches a casting roll or faces paradox backlash, you can avert it by willing it not to happen. It costs 1 paradox point. Now, let's see here. So all this would give you is 2 points of paradox. It doesn't... Let's see here. I don't think that creates a backlash, necessarily. So... Let's see here. Common magical effects.
I'm just imagining that him botching it instead of just projecting his senses so that so Dave can see. He starts suddenly seeing what Dave saw when he died.
Oh shit! Yeah, yeah. Okay, so rolling for backlash. Here we go. Each incident that generates paradox adds points to the character's quintessence paradox wheel. Those points add up until the storyteller decides to check for a paradox backlash. So really all this will do then is, if we go to your character sheet, you could spend the willpower to avoid that, but then you'd have to try casting once again.
Okay.
Paradox is on the bottom, so we'd add it down here, and then once they meet, that's when it starts eating into your ability.
Okay, so if I spend the willpower to get the success and take the paradox, we could move forward. Or does willpower just succeed?
So I think because you botched that, probably what you can either do is, oh yeah, I guess you would have to spend it beforehand, hey? 'Cause otherwise, that would they wouldn't have two separate rules for avoiding paradox. Yeah, because that would just convert yours to a fail for the one.
Narratively, I think it's interesting. Like he gets the paradox points, but he could.
Yeah, I think there's something
anyway.
going on here too. Like I think there is, like you said, like there was something nibbling at the thing. So what we do then is we click on it. I think it's twice, and it gives you the X for the paradox.
Okay.
Okay.
And then if I spend the willpower, we'll make it succeed anyway. But then, like he gets that vision of Dave dying, and maybe he saw something.
Yeah, there's just something really off. About this, and Dave sort of double blinks, and his demeanor gets a lot less chill than he normally is. His spray bottle and rag kind of drop to the ground and disappear because they're sort of manifestations of his spirit. And you, I think, recognize sort of what's happened here as well. So what do you say to sort of address that or recover from that?
He'll just try to get Dave to focus on him rather than what's going on in his mind. He'll talk to him kind of like is Dave like a veteran that you say?
Dave, I don't.
I know you said he was homeless.
Yeah, he was homeless for sure. I mean, he could be maybe with that good of a role, maybe.
Yeah, if he was like a veteran, Dorian will just said attention, focus.
Okay.
Try to just snap him out of his little shock with something he knows.
Okay, so he shakes and he's like, "What? Sorry, what were you saying?"
Have you seen this man, Dave?
Oh, yeah. And he looks at the photograph, and you can see it would appear in the kind of ghostly realm that he inhabits. Yeah, I think so. I think I saw him. He was heading down to the camp. That was, yeah. As he came over the bridge with his stuff, and he had that look to him. There's something hanging over that guy, though.
Yeah. Well, don't mind too much. Go spend the $5 and get yourself something nice.
I will, but Dave's still young. So when he stuffs it in a cup, that's down there. He reaches down and he's got the spray bottle and whatnot. And he looks down. Hey, Lou, and he shakes him, and Lou kind of barks at him. Looking good, kid.
While they're interacting, Dorian's just kind of shaking his head a little bit, trying to get that image of the headlights out of his head.
Yeah.
Should not try new tricks without testing them out.
So well, I think it's also maybe, you know what? Why don't you let's make some, give us a wits and awareness check, please.
Okay. And I like how this is set up to where you can just change stuff.
It's really good. Like there's a whole bunch, like in the werewolf game, and in this one, if you're playing martial artists, there's a bunch of different like combat maneuvers and stuff you can do, and you can set up all of them on the werewolf sheet. And the werewolf sheet has it all set up for the different difficulties depending on what form you're in too.
Gotcha.
They're really well done.
What difficulty do you want me to set it at?
I think this one will be a difficulty 6. I don't think there's any other things. Look at that. All right.
Nice.
10.
Are those like crit successes?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how, again, like it's different with
testing
each.
up the lows and highs.
Something. You know how I think it works is if I remember, it's that if you got a specialty and it triggers, then the 10s count as 2 successes. I believe that's how those work, because someone corrected me on that one of the last times we played.
Oh yeah, there's an option in that cog where 10 equals 1 success or 2.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, because that is it depends on whether you're using a specialty. I think that's how that works.
Nice.
Let me see here. Let's see if I'm making shit up here. Abilities. Well, it doesn't really matter for today's purpose. I think that's how that works, though. Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, but 4 successes is pretty freaking good. So, what you can... I think the thing is, there's something off about the Umbra here. There's some kind of metaphysical dissonance down in this area here. Something is, and I mean, it's like, you can think of it kind of like waves, right? Like if something big moves underneath, and there's a wake that comes with that, and there seems like there's something moving that's causing some things to be just sharper than what they normally are. That's probably the reason that even a simple invocation like showing something to Dave came back with such a backlash.
Maybe something didn't like the light shining through.
It's more, I think, just you happen to be working something in this area. There's something off about West Salem right now.
He pulls out a little notebook and makes a note, and then closes it again and puts it in his shirt pocket.
Yeah. So what do you wish to do next?
Well, it seems like the most natural recourse would be go to the camp to see if anybody else has seen him.
Sure.
He looks down at Lou and says, "What do you think, Lou? Did you get any weird senses of during that interaction?"
I mean, you look like you touched something you shouldn't have touched, but I told you, there's something off. Something off about that woman, and there's something off about... He kind of sniffs around, sniffs the air. Something off about this place right now.
Wasn't like this yesterday, was it?
I don't know. Maybe I only notice it now. But something's moving.
Suppose that's a question for later. Let's see if we can find this guy.
Yeah, maybe I should go back and keep an eye on the office, or... And he's just full of shit. Like he's a dog. He can't open the door. He can't...
Or you just want to see the Labradoodle just down the road, eh?
If it's all the same, I think I might just run back home.
Well, you do you, Lou. I'll see ya. Closing time or morning? One of the two.
Yeah, I'll see you. You take it easy, Dorian. And he turns and starts running off down the street, and kind of like when someone gets too close, kind of barks at them and then races off. He'll probably be in your backyard or something like that when you get back.
Dorian raises an eyebrow, looking at him like he's not telling me everything, but that's for later.
No, and I think that like Lou's not a coward by any means, but he's definitely picking up something. Like he may have sensed something similar to what you've got going on, but his nature is just different than yours, So, what do you want to do? Are you going to take your car down there, or are you going to walk? The weather's certainly nice enough for it if you're feeling up for the walk.
Where's the camp at? Is like a mile away or whatnot?
I picture it's probably a little, it's like maybe a mile and a half away.
He thinks for a moment and says, decides he doesn't want to lose his parking spot in the parking garage.
Sure.
And he'll just hoof it and try to avoid cars because that flashback is just making him a little skittish.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you make you arrive at this place, it's it's a one of the really heavily forested parts of Salem, West Salem, but it looks more like it kind of looks like an an ungoverned campsite. Tons of just like rough, things set up here. With the weather being what it is lately as well too, it's a more comfortable place, and for whatever reason, the local cops have just not dealt with this yet.
Well, if they're out of sight of most of the people in the wooded area and access to fresh water, it's probably the cleanest place they'll have in a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems it's not it's not the happiest place you've been, but I mean, it's not like a den of misery or anything like that. People are living in here, So you probably have been down here before, I imagine, if you do have that connection to that community, to the dishoused community or unhoused community. Why don't you? Let's see here. I think to sort of do this is probably a streetwise check. How do you think you're going to approach this? How are you going to be asking around?
Well, I do believe he's been around here before, except that there's a lot of new faces, some that he doesn't recognize, and some faces he expects to be there but aren't there. So he'll, I don't know, try to head on in and just see how everyone's doing.
Okay.
Maybe pick up a few snacks from the like a local Subway or something.
Okay,
and
sure.
Bring a few footlongs in to grease the palm, so to speak.
Yeah, so I think that probably is more charisma than same score, but I mean, I think that's probably the way you're describing it. So why don't we give us a charisma and streetwise check, please? I think the difficulty will be 6 once again.
Okay. That.
Oh, if you're bringing stuff in, maybe a DC 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Or difficulty.
Yeah,
5.
he always writes in a little bit of extra money in his fees so that he can grease palms. So.
Okay. Wow, look at that. All right. So, making your way around, this will reflect sort of a fair amount of time. How are you approaching these guys? Like, what is it that you're specifically, and gals and they, how are you approaching them?
Somewhat openly, in kind of like a friendly manner, because he's been around here often enough that they may know his face rather than his name, and he just looking for maybe some of the newer ones that look like they're more hungry than others. And he doesn't ask them questions. He just, as far as like investigation, he just says, nice to see you around. Hope things are easy for you. And he'll hand them a sandwich, like a warm meatball one to, help
Sure.
out. And then he'll probably beeline to somebody he knows to
there's an
check the status.
older guy who's in here, Randy.
Kind of shoot the shit with him and then kind of then lean into get some information.
Sure. So I think maybe this is the we would see a montage of you talking to a bunch of people, kind of and getting along quite well with a lot of them, and then you are talking to you see Randy who is in here, and maybe he's got he's rooting around in his shopping cart trying to find something, and then sits down and he sees you and kind of waves, "Hello, Dorian."
I think him and Randy get along so well because every time Dorian comes in, he's got this little trinket on him that kind of helps soothes like arthritic pain or something you get in the area.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of like a general healing thing. And he just has it in his pocket. And, because Randy's probably got joint pain.
Yeah, and I think that, magically speaking, I think that it isn't something that necessarily, because you don't have any ability in life, but you do in mind, and you could just soothe pain. That could definitely be like an analgesic type thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you come over and pass that, whatever the liniment or the whatever thing you're going to rub on for. And he's, I was just about to run out. Thanks.
You're welcome. How's the camp doing?
It's rough all around, but things have been a little on edge. there's been people going missing, and people come and go from here quite a bit, but this is really, missing. Like people going and leaving their stuff behind.
It is unusual.
Yeah.
Got the heebie-jeebies coming over the bridge today on my way here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if you got a sense of it, then you may... I don't know what's... We've been trying to make sure people are staying together and, doing what they can, but yeah, there's been, over the past month, probably 4 or 5 people. It's tough to tell for sure, but...
You met most of them that went missing, yes? I mean, you know pretty much everyone here, right?
Yeah. He kind of looks around. Yeah. I mean, a couple of friendly faces. A couple of people I know, but you remember Margaret? Older lady?
I think so.
She was originally from Sacramento. Well, Maggie, she's gone.
Maggie.
Maggie ain't got nowhere to go.
She's left all of her stuff?
Left it all behind. It's
How long ago?
Picked over since, but yeah.
Doran will lean back a little bit. Cause I'm guessing these are like a lot of lawn chairs or whatever that they're sitting in.
Sure.
And he'll say...
they're totally mismatched. One of them's broken.
Yeah, he'll like kind of favor one of the legs so it doesn't fall over.
Yeah.
He'll say, well, that kind of makes this personal then. He says, Randy, I got a job looking for a missing guy. And he'll pull out the photo and slide it over to him.
He looks, and you can see, I'm picturing that Randy is probably, he's a white guy. He's probably in his like 70s, but it looks like he's in his 80s. Heavy set, he's carrying that kind of unhealthy paunch, and overgrown, not a beard, not a clean shaven, that weird like patchy kind of in between, stringy hair. He's got a hat on, and his face, he was quite friendly before, but then kind of it falls, and he's like, "Oh, I remember that guy. That guy's trouble."
Did he bring trouble, or was he a troublemaker?
No, he brought trouble with him. He was around here, and some people are all edges, and that's that guy.
Yeah, he's a vet. You know how close they are to me. His mom is dying, and I need to get him home before that happens.
That's he came around camp, but he put everybody off. He didn't stay here long. We could tell he had issues, but you can't have someone like that coming in and causing problems for everybody.
Yeah, the home is where it's supposed to be stable. He disappeared sometime around Maggie, or before or after?
When he came in, you say it, he came in, and then after he left, that's when all this stuff started happening. You think he might be to blame for this?
I don't think he's to blame. It could be something else related to him. People with a past, past catches up with them. And sometimes we're caught in the middle.
Well, when he taps on the thing, that guy's got a lot of problems with his past. And yeah, he got in a fight with some other guy. The other guy was causing problems too, but some of the younger guys hadn't pulled him apart. He might have killed that guy.
The other guy still around?
No, actually, he's one of the ones who's gone.
Same time? Just after?
It would have been after. He wasn't the one that was... I mean, he was a loudmouth, but if we... he gestures around. You don't pick your neighbors.
No.
He did cause problems, but not like, and he taps at the thing, not like that guy.
But, did he leave any stuff behind, like Maggie?
No, that guy, the guy you're looking for, he took his stuff with him when he went. He left. The other, I don't know. It's tough to tell what's, but I know he's been gone since then, and sudden like.
Gotcha. I was thinking maybe I can get my hands on some of their stuff just for a day or so. I want to see if I can locate them. Look for some clues.
You'll bring it back, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll bring some more sandwiches.
Yeah. And he goes down and he grabs, kind of roots through his stuff, and he pulls out. It looks like it's a bundle, like a little. It's got newspaper wrapped around it. There's an old elastic band. Looks like it'll break if you look at it funny. But he pulls it apart, and it's a bunch of Polaroids. And it's a woman, and I think you probably you've seen Maggie before because she's been not a fixture, but she's been around, around Salem for a couple of years now. She was around of Randy's vintage, maybe a little bit, about 10 years younger. And these may be photos of her and family and stuff from, younger times, happier times. And she says, he hands it over to you and says, these are with Maggie's things, and I just felt that someone should have them.
Okay. Well, if I find her, I can give her stuff to her.
If you don't, if you could, yeah. I'll keep them for her until she,
If the worst happens, I'll frame them up and give them back to you.
And he looks around. What am I going to do with frames? Just keep them.
Yeah, look at them and, they'll be pretty.
It ain't my memories. I don't know any of these people. I figure someone should keep them. She kept them for all that long.
Maybe I'll find some family.
Maybe. Then you rolled so well in awareness before. You're talking to Randy, and you maybe kind of look around just because there's people wandering around through here. You're coughing and whatever. People are laughing and singing or shouting or whatever in different parts of the camp. And you look over, and there's something that kind of seems very. There's a area that seems set aside as if it's like a place where you might have fire for a couple for some folks to sit around. And it's a big right now at this time of day. It's not lit or anything, so it's just sort of a thoroughfare. People are making their way around, but you can see there is someone standing in there that catches your eye, and that's because it is someone who. Let me see if I can find a. I've got a thing loaded here.
On a side note, I do really like the story.
Oh, nice.
The ties to Salem really make it really hit home.
That's awesome. It's one of the fun things we used to do as kids. Is we would set the stuff in our hometown. It was fun seeing the kind of magical version of a World of Darkness version of our hometown. So that's great. So here's what you see. Let me sit on the GM's layer so I can set it properly. There is a man dressed in what looks to be like. I don't think you've got a lot of training in academics or whatever. But he looks like what you would picture a Roman soldier, like a Roman era, imperial soldier to look like.
I'd probably know it's like Roman outfit of some sort just from the pictures I've seen in my research, but no idea on the style or.
No, and it's let's see what you might be able to roll here for it. Let me quickly, I can't remember what the rules are for rolling for things. I think like you can, talents you can use without training, skills you might take a penalty for, and then knowledges you might not be able to try at all. I seem to remember that's how that works. But let's see here. Yeah, you may not be able to, so you can't use... Yeah, that's exactly what it works. Skills are, if you're not trained, you can do it at +1 difficulty with the associated thing. Knowledges, you just can't try it at all. But what you can do is, there's a chance with occultism. I'm going to put the difficulty at 9. So this would be intelligence and intelligence and occult.
Okay, and we'll call it occult.
But what you could do is also, this is where you could spend willpower to gain an automatic success before you roll.
Yeah, I'll do that. We'll spend one of those.
Okay. So this is maybe just because of you were reading in things. There's something curious about this, Roman.
It's that book that I took when I left the house at first. It actually had those details in there.
So it does, and it's actually the book you took was it was a book of the saints, of the different Catholic saints. One thing you notice about this man, which isn't depicted in here, his cloak is ragged as if it's been cut in half. And the reason that matters is because Saint Martin of Tours is a Hungarian saint who is known to be the patron saint of beggars. Saint Martin of Tours, born in Hungary, was a soldier in Rome, and he is best known for coming upon a poor beggar in the winter, cutting his cloak in half with his sword, and giving half to the freezing man. No one else seems to see this man.
And
everyone else seems to be walking around him, but he seems to be looking directly at you.
Okay. Well, I'll nod to Randy and say I'd best be off. I'll circle around a bit and then head off. And then he'll walk towards where Saint Martin is.
Okay.
He'll kind of do what the others are doing and kind of walk around him, but kind of like muttering to himself in a circle. But he'll say, "Saint Martin, you are not who I expected to see here.
And you are not who... You are not who I thought you might be. Should
Weren't
we
expecting
talk?"
Caesar, were you?
He looks at him. Always with Caesar jokes.
Oh, I'm kind of contrary.
Oh no, and that absolutely fits. And I imagine that this is the, when he does deal with mages, there's probably no end of like imperial jokes or whatnot.
He's an ancient spirit out of his timeline. He's going to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. So he says, "Should we talk where it looks not like you are talking to yourself?"
Would be the best. I mean, yeah, we should probably walk with me.
He turns. "I will walk with you." Okay. So he, as you're walking along, and again, like he's moving sort of either around or through people or whatnot, or maybe it's just that it's in the way of the kind of arcane, like people are just walking. They seem to never be in his way. It just works. And he, as you're walking along towards the edge of the camp, more towards where the wilderness is, he says, You are not like others of your tribe. You see these people.
Ah, yes. And Dorian will, after that initial quip, he'll show a little bit more like deference to the spirit, because this is actually a powerful spirit. If he's still here, so
quite possibly, yeah. You could, like, one of the things with the spirit realm too is like this could be the actual sort of like dead spirit of this person. It could be a manifestation of the idea of the spirit. It could be a duplicate of that. Like, who the fuck knows? And it could be all those things at the same time.
Yeah, the Catholic belief in the saints all make reality. I mean, yeah, you can't really argue with it.
Precisely, yeah. So he says, What is your interest here?
Dorian, he'll say, I see many hidden things, and I do my part in bringing them to the light. But I have a day job, and I'm seeking a missing person.
Oh, and I wish, God dang, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a name for like ancient Roman like oracles or sorcerers or witches or whatnot. I'm going to say warlock, just because that'll be the easy frame of reference. But I wish I'd done that. I'd looked that up before. But he says to you, "You're not the first warlock that I have dealt with, though you are the first to show compassion to them."
Well, compassion always starts in pain, and veterans are close to my heart.
And it is the dispossessed who are close to mine. What is your interest here?
Well,
Beyond
even I must make
sandwiches.
Oh, well, even I must make a living in this world, and it's the place of those well off to help those who are not. I'm doing a job looking for a missing person, and the spirits are moving quite a lot in this job. I'm seeking its source, and where we go from there, the gods know.
You spoke to Randy.
Yes.
Randy is a wise elder here. But what preys on them? Something I cannot see is taking these people. And it is beyond my power to protect them.
Do you know if they still reside in the land of the living, or have they crossed the veil?
I sense that they have gone, and not well. I sense that they have... When I sensed you among the camp, I watched, because I fear a warlock may be behind what is happening here. And those who work with pain will find much raw material from which to work their art here among these folk.
And St. Martin being a spirit, he might be able to sense that Dorian's aura kind of shifted a bit, just the emotional reaction to thinking a warlock is preying on the homeless. He's like...
So one thing you know is, like, there are all sorts of different kinds of mages, and I mean of mages, without getting into supernatural supernatural evil kind of stuff, who work all sorts of different kinds of magic. But there is a particular kind of magic. We talked before we went live about quiet, when a mage, is affected by paradox and it affects their mind, so they no longer have a connection to reality. They're sometimes called marauders. When they can become so detached from reality that they can become a threat to others, they become known as marauders. That is one kind of magical mage threat that's out there. Another kind is one called the Nefandi. And Nefandi is sort of a catch-all for those who have either lost or given over their avatar, their magical soul, to unthinkably alien things from outside of reality. Sometimes you might see them as devils or demons, some as Lovecraftian entities, or some just nihilistic creatures or conquering creatures or whatever.
And I suppose that leaves the avatar of the person in tenuous control, but the thing uses them as it wills.
In a way, yeah, and in some cases, there are damaged people who, among the mages, who just happily will inflict that pain on behalf of their master. And that's not to say that this is necessarily a Nefandus that you're dealing with. If it is, that's terrifying. But that is the type of Nephandic spirits sort of prey on that kind of hurt and pain. and can draw fuel from it. Spirits are in the world of darkness are kind of governed by I think it's 3 different stats. There's rage, there's gnosis, which is sort of like their magical connection, and there's willpower. Rage, spirits of rage, like demons and similar things. Not necessarily all rage creatures or rage spirits are evil, but demons prey on that very specific type of thing. So, just to give you context for the metaphysics that Dorian would understand.
And it infuriates him, because not only does it make more work for him to do, because he deals with spirits that are damaged all the time.
Yeah.
But they're literally creating more of them, and ending lives too short.
I don't know what, but I feel that something has changed in this last month, and something feeds on them, on their pain.
Dorian will hold up the picture that he was showing Randy. St. Michael might be able to see it or not, and he says, can you tell if this man is still on this side of the veil?
And he looks at you and looks at the photo, and let me make a roll for him. Just gonna check and see.
Imagine he might have a chance of, if he's a patron saint of beggars.
Yeah.
He might have seen the scuffle or something.
I'll use the old dice tower here. All right. Oh, that was a good one too. So he looks at it, and just because you've got those spirit senses too, I think you can see there's almost like a flash in his eyes, and he says, "That one was full of anger and violence. Many come through here like that. He is no beggar. He was a damaged soul, looking to soothe his pain by spreading it. This is who you look for?"
It is. His mother is dying, and his sister wishes him present before regrets can be had. It is compassion that motivates me, but if he is the source behind this, I'm afraid, we'll see when that happens.
He seems to be almost like as if he's trying to listen to something. And he says, "Can you sense this? There is something greater moving here. Something I have not seen."
Yeah, the spirit river that is flowing through the area? Yes. It's a really big disturbance.
I feel there is more here. I will try what I can to protect those here, but I am not what I once was.
It's probably the flagging belief and the lack of compassion that's growing in humanity.
But you give hope.
Right.
One such as you.
I'll tell you what, St. Martin, if you can keep this rabble safe, I'll owe you a favor. And my favors may go far.
I will do what I can, but in these late days, watching is most often the most I can offer.
Well, for those that can see and hear, watcher is all we need.
I will watch and try to see what is happening. But he gestures at the photo once again. There is something more to this. There is an art at work here.
Well, we'll see whose arts and willpower are greater, because I will find this man.
Yes. And the art around him being worked. And he puts his arm out like to do a kind of a Roman handshake kind of thing, clasping the forearms.
Dorian will repeat the gesture, even though somebody might see.
I think that you meet and you can sort of feel it too. He's probably expending some spiritual power to make himself felt manifest in the presence. You could, if you, you would have to like get your glasses out or something like that to really get a reading on him if you wanted. But you probably could use your magic in such a way to try and get a sense of how powerful he is or whatnot. But if you don't want to, if you think that might be rude or whatnot, you need not do that.
Well, it's a combination of not want to expend resources and not want to invade his privacy. And Dorian honestly thinks this man is the spirit is a good person.
Yeah.
So he has no interest in prying.
Okay. So then, I'll put a nameplate on him too.
You got to meet a saint of beggars, or patron saint of beggars. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So, is there anything else you wish to ask St. Martin?
I asked him if he knows about dead guy Dave over at the bridge.
I knew of him before. I did not know. I knew he had passed over in a unquiet manner.
Well, he still lingers, and our interaction today may have brought forward some memories that he wanted to forget. You watch out for him? He's a little too close to the river for my liking.
He has... his focus is ever on what is in front of him. If you fear that you left him with lasting pain, he is blessed with a momentary memory.
Well, one day I'll find out who ran him over.
That would be good, if he could rest, perhaps. Then,
Yeah.
I will be here. You can find me.
I'll be here to return Maggie's things if the worst has happened. But
Then,
after this conversation, it's most likely.
he nods. Good. Then, salute, warlock. He turns and sort of like a homeless guy walks in front of him, and then he's just not there.
You need trick.
So, what do you wish to do next?
Well, at this point, I think he's got what he needs to perform a ritual of some sort. He's got some of Maggie's stuff. He's got a photo of the brother that's missing. He knows there's spiritual energy flowing around that shouldn't be here. So I think it's time to do a more higher tier kind of search and locate spell.
Okay.
Maybe use the spirits to pinpoint the brother's location. If that's possible.
So let's see here. Well, you could not use life to do that. So it'd have to be. It would have to be a spirit connection. So if you had, how do you see this? Like, what is it you're trying to achieve here?
Well, I imagine I got some of Maggie's like photos and whatnot, and these things have spent a long period of time with her because he said they kept her she kept him so close to her that they may have any kind of lingering spiritual energy. And I'm wondering if I could track down, in the city, like a path she might have taken on her last day, and if she died, I imagine there's a huge spiritual imprint with most things.
Okay.
then maybe it might help.
Yeah. So what? So there is another sphere called correspondence. What correspondence is distances. It's for like sensing over spaces and distances. Unfortunately, you don't have any skill in that. But what you could do though is like not all roads need to travel in the same direction here.
I likely do have a contact I can call on.
Yeah, you might have a contact. So, and then the contacts. So the contacts you've got there, those are mundane things. So what I was just thinking when I was throwing the character together was that one of those may be someone who's a member of the Salem PD. So you may have, if you need to get access to, say, death records, if anyone's found the bodies or whatnot.
Okay. That sounds like a good idea. And if we found the body, that might be the link I need, because she would be attached to a body if she's still around.
If her spirit is still around, I see what you mean. Yeah.
It might be easier to contact her that way, or draw her in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's call on the PD.
Sure.
Contact.
Okay. So why don't you give us? I think. Let's see here. This will be. Actually, let's take a look at the contact's background. Because you may not need to make a roll, or it may affect it.
Flexible the system is.
Yeah, like it's really like they call it the storyteller system because it's really that's what the thing is designed to be, is have a light touch as far as rules mechanics are. But over the iterations of the game, they've really tried. Like the reason the book is so darn long is because having all those permutations together. Like it's cool with the. They got a whole book just on like ways to interpret different things you want to do. And what I was going to say is that the while you don't have correspondence, you can't necessarily like sense something at a distance. What you might be able to do is research the name of a tracking spirit, right? And then summon a spirit, and then you have it use its power to do that.
That sounds like something as well. Yeah.
So and that's one thing I like about the interaction of the paradigm, the practices, and the instruments in the newest edition is because you can think of like creative ways to try and access to get to do the same stuff you want to do, but through your own character's magical practices.
Then I suppose if I call on the power of a spirit, I need a way of offering payment to it.
Quite possibly, and I mean things like tracking down a name and such. And this is where the corresponding stuff could come in, like your ability to do investigation in your library. You make a roll and see if you could find some name. Maybe there's a name of a spirit that you've got in there, or a demon, or whatever, a genie, something that could come up that you could call in. Or an angel even, and then send them out in search of this thing.
If I had a patron saint get involved, I might be able to get in touch with some of the angelic hosts.
Quite possibly, yeah. And like it's that's just because we've established in fiction sort of what your character's shtick is for magic and what things he's got access to. We've got the tools then to figure out how we mechanically structure this thing. And depending on how powerful the spirit's going to be and how long it's going to search for, that will be dictated by how many passes with your magic you want to take. Because you're rolling arete each time, and then just the target number is going to be adjusted based on use of quintessence and what types of instruments you're using. You may need to make several passes worth of castings, and we just figure out how long it would take you to do that. Maybe it's an hour for each hour of the ritual you get to make the roll. Maybe it's each day, depending on how we sort of interpret things. Okay, so hold on. I was looking up your thing here.
Contact, yeah.
Your background. Because you can also probably find some. This would be an easy way to get some mundane information. And if you don't have the contact, well, let's look it up first. Hold on, where is it? Background. Is it before or after that? It's after that. Okay. Here we go. Okay, contacts. People who know things. When calling in your contacts, roll the appropriate social attribute plus contacts. Difficulty depends on the nature of the information you're trying to circulate or the favor you're trying to get. Reflected flawed data or a mangled message. So, cops could be a contact here.
I'm thinking I'd work closely with a detective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I do a similar job, but I'm not as tied to the state or the government as they are. So that he probably calls me for favors too.
Yeah. See, so why don't... And I mean, each dot in the trait reflects one major contact. A fleshed out character like an ally. You could establish casual contacts with a successful social or mental trait plus contacts, but these sources will be harder to work with. That is, the role will have a higher difficulty. So that's sort of like getting people to put in touch with it. We actually sort of what I'm thinking on this one, because, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So why don't you give us... I think we'll just start with 6. As I think 6 is the standard difficulty, if I remember.
Okay, and
you're rolling. So what are you thinking for? We're using is it a? It's a social attribute plus your score in contacts.
Okay.
So what social do you think? Is it charisma once again?
I would say charisma, because I don't really want to manipulate them. It doesn't sound right. And then we're doing contacts.
Yep, so charisma plus contacts.
That's not on my list.
It's not listed in there? Okay, so then it would be... let's see here. I think what you can do...
I could pick something with 2 dice in it and just go with that one.
I wonder if... Let's see here. Yeah, let's just do that for now. That's probably...
Alrighty, I'll just toss enigmas in there just to...
Okay.
That's 2. Enigmas, alrighty. This is contact 1.
Here we go.
Action, DM rolls 6 difficulty.
Difficulty 6, yeah. Ooh.
Oh, 3 successes and a failure, so 2.
Okay, so yeah, so that just takes away from the 1. So 2 successes, pretty good.
Maybe he's really busy and it's hard to get through. But
yeah, and who do you think your contact is?
Let's say it's a Detective Smith.
Okay, and Smith, man, woman.
Let's say it's a man.
Okay.
Let's say I helped him locate something that like maybe he lost his engagement ring and it was actually stolen, and I managed to find it for him. So
sure.
Put me on his good list.
Yeah. So that means keeping the good list. You're not someone who's trying to break up someone's marriage, trying to maintain it.
Oh yeah, and then later he did get married. So I basically say he owes his marriage to me.
Nice. So let's think here. What are we? If we're casting this Detective Smith, who do you think would be the appropriate actor to cast in this? So we have a mental picture of what he looks like.
I want to say like a Nicolas Cage, just.
He's a little like on edge.
Yeah.
High strung. Okay. So he's maybe. Where do you think you're running into him?
I say he's doing some kind of investigation at the local veterans, homeless shelter, because there's been scuffles recently, and he's trying to look into it, kind of like on the same thing I am, but a different aspect of it.
Okay.
And we just managed to run each other as I'm going back to my office, and he's coming out of the.
Yeah, with two dots in arcane, I buy that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are heading back to the office. You're.
I'm thinking my books there are what I'm going to need to do the thing.
Yeah,
so.
and maybe you're reading. You're as you're walking along, you're reading over the entry on Saint Martin of Tours in your the Catholic book, and
just laughing to himself because he knew he would need this, but he didn't know why.
Yeah. And you look over and you can see that there is, you recognize his the unmarked car that Detective Smith is part of. He's down and outside and talking to maybe some of the. There's a squad car as well, and he's talking to some people there. So you see him, quickly cross the street and head over. He finishes talking to the guy, looks over, and says, "Oh, you,
Smith,
Mr. Kettle," and he holds up his hand and shows the ring. Still here.
Well, you're a lucky man.
Yeah. Don't I know it?
Brings you down to my neck of the woods. Need another fight?
As an assault charge that someone beat up someone else and we're just trying to track down a guy. You know how it is. You?
Well, I'm on a case involving the community, but it's more locate missing person because mom's dying kind of thing.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, it's a job, but not nice for that guy. So,
No, but, good of him to try and find you. And who is it you're looking for?
well, he pulls out the picture of the sister and brother and taps at the guy, this fellow.
Who's he?
Well, a vet did some time in Iraq and apparently is causing a bit of trouble over at the camp. But he's gone missing and a few other people. Don't know if they're related, but I'm looking into it.
Do you have a name for this guy?
Do I?
You do, yeah, Daryl. Daryl Darville.
Oh, yes, Daryl. It's, Daryl. I've got some other PIs that didn't know what they're doing, did some work on them, the pictures, but yeah, that's about it.
Huh. Daryl, you say?
Yeah. Hey, Maggie, and he pulls out one of her photos and says she went missing shortly after this guy went missing too. You haven't seen her by chance, have you? Or
He looks, so he says, Maggie,
Margaret is her full name.
Oh, yeah, she's, no, I think she's gone missing?
Yeah. And I don't have a good feeling about this, Smith.
Did she relocate? She go to Portland?
Up and vanished, left all of her stuff.
Huh. Well, we're here because 3 guys jumped another and beat the guy near to death. They were trying to, I don't know what they were. It's a kind of dispute you see sometimes, but so she went missing, hey?
Yeah, nobody's seen her.
I haven't seen anything, but they're not the most forthcoming with cops.
Yeah.
Well, I know someone who might help, though.
Really?
Yeah.
What you got in mind?
There's a social worker who's been spearheading some kind of new program here. She seems to have a real good in. You know the type.
Yeah. Like me.
Yeah.
Bleeding hearts, aren't we?
Better looking than you, I'll tell you.
Oh, she's single?
I think she can do better than you, Kettle. See, I think I got a name. Hold on. And he goes over to his to the car. He goes rooting around, and nice. Yeah, here it is. Nielsen, Rebecca Nielsen, and he holds hands over the card. She might know better.
Sticking this jacket pocket, and I'll give her a ring.
Yeah. If you want to find out, we haven't had anyone turn up, if that's what you're asking. This beating was bad, but that's the worst we've seen. If people are going missing, as you say, unless they show up as bodies, then...
Yeah. Hopefully you don't have to fish them out of the river like I did with your ring.
You still got to come over for dinner.
I have to be awake for that. You know my schedule.
Well, I can say that I invited again, and maybe then. Sorry, I can't be of more help. I got to get going, but try that Rebecca, Ms. Nielsen. She might have more insight.
Alrighty, will do. Well, I don't got a parking ticket. And he looks up at the parking garage.
Yeah. That's what you say below my pay grade. So he gets in the car, starts it up, and heads off. So that brings us to a close of the session. Nice. So, John, it's the first time playing Mage the Ascension.
Well, it's very similar to some of my runs with Shadowrun and Vampire the Masquerade, so it's really easy to catch on to.
Yeah.
But I like how different it is with the spellcasting.
That's
such open ended on what you can do, and I like it.
Nice. I thought that's what I said before we went live. Is that like, there's a John and there's a couple other players in the roster who I think who are not familiar with the Mage system. I think would just it really I think has the most creative freedom for forming the types of what your spellcasting, what your magic looks like in the game than any other game I have. So that's awesome.
It's like this was tailor made for my specific play style too. I had no trouble just jumping right in and just start swimming. It was great.
That's awesome. Well, that's great. Cool. All right. So then what do you call it? I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I got the whole narrative of Salem, like top-down view, where I was going, exactly where it took place, and it was perfect.
That's great. Well, and it's fun doing these things from to start building up. I had a rough idea. Like I had an idea for the mystery, and I had an idea of some fun stuff like the St. Martin's a tour. I liked the idea of there being a spirit that was a patron saint around there. So, but yeah, that's.
And that whole metaphysical concept is maybe not really actually Saint Martin, but it's just a manifestation of some, their belief in him. And at least some of those homeless people were Catholic and believed that he was watching over them. And so,
yeah,
it was great.
And that's the thing I like about it. Is just I like a game I can be thinking about away from the table in the sense of like. Does it matter? Like at the end of the day, does it matter whether he's a creation of belief or whether he is the actual spirit or whatever? It's really. It's fun stuff. It's the first time I've had a chance to actually run Mage in probably at least 15 years, maybe even closer to 20. Because it's been a long time since I've had a chance to really run Mage. So thanks very much for jumping in this morning.
Well, thanks for exposing me to yet another game that I would like to play.
Nice. So for those listening at home, as is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding Mage, I mean, I fucked up a ton of rules, but one of the nice things with the storyteller system is you don't really need to get it right. It really only matters if you're having fun going through, and that's all that really matters. And because the game has changed so many times over the years, or the core mechanics of what you can use willpower for, how you roll initiative, how you do defenses and whatnot, how you do multiple actions, even it changes across different editions. So it's tough to keep straight, but it doesn't really matter as long as everyone is seeing what they understand, sort of how to approach things, how to make decisions over that. But anyway, so we'll be back with in 2 weeks' time with our Marvel game, the Savage Marvel, to conclude that or move closer to the conclusion of that adventure. But I think there's a chance we might be back with Mage at some point as well, because I sure shit enjoy this one.
I bet you already got like the next 2 or 3 sessions planned out with the story.
Oh yeah,
so.
I got tons
That's
of
how
stuff.
I do it. I'm like, we're writing the first book of a 6-part series just in case.
Well, and it's also what like the fun with these games is seeing what you're building as you go along too, like the way that you're adding stuff, what your world looks like, and the way you're interacting with different things. That's what informs what is going to happen or what potentially could happen in the future too.
Did you expect me to go talk to Dead Dave when you introduced him, or just there to? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's because I mean, like, you need to have waypoints, right? Like the introducing things like that, like the storm thing, like those are ways of reinforcing aspects and explaining aspects of the world. Not just the metaphysics and whatnot too, but just like what you're going to be interacting with, and with your spirit magnet merit. It's a cool way of seeing why, like, you would be stumbling across. You're the guy who Dead Dave may have spoken to, when no one else will speak to him. Because why would anyone else bother searching the Umbra at that intersection?
Yeah. I really like the entire setting, and just Spirit Magnet just clued in exactly what he was going to be doing. Like, of course he's going to be interacting with all the homeless and the veterans, because that's right in his immediate area. Yeah. So many problems to fix.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a simple, and the setup for private investigators, I think a fun one. So that's great. I'm really, really thrilled. I think that's what you can do with Mage, is that you've got, you can really choose to make the world focus around the characters and have Mage be about that type of thing. It's a hugely flexible, not only magic system, but like just hugely flexible setting. in terms of what you can do with the story. So it's a lot of fun.
And you don't have to worry about like world-shaking events happening right at your home. It's like you're living your life and these things are happening, and then it slowly grows from there. But
exactly.
It's like
yeah.
I loved how it turned out.
Oh, that's so good to hear. That's I can't. Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that your first comments about what you're doing calls back to my first impression of Mage, of why I fell in love with the game in the first place. That's great stuff. So then, for those listening at home, let's see here. We've got, not only could you leave a comment in the video, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion, you can also find a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server. I think we've got a channel there for World of Darkness games, so we can, if you have any questions or concerns about the game we're playing or about Mage 20, feel free to post a comment over there. You can also find channels over there dedicated to every other game we run on the channel, as well as a bunch of other great stuff. There's find a group channel. There's great advice, coming from the community on a wide variety of different games. So if you've got questions about stuff, or if you're trying to find people to play with, or you want to learn about upcoming conventions, lots of great people over there. You are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have an amazing selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. And if they do not have in what you're looking for at the time, you can put it on on a want list, and they will send you an email when a copy comes in. If you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code THEMUSE, all caps, all one word, and you will save yourself 10% on your purchase. They also have deals on shipping in the U.S. I'm in Canada, so unfortunately I do not get to enjoy those, but there are some pretty sweet deals for shipping as well. There's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages. That is the charity fundraising campaign that we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, a really awesome organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children, including ongoing relief efforts at the time of recording in Ukraine and the surrounding countries. All donations that go through that link go directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. Just goes to help out the kids who benefit from it. And we have a couple of ways of saying thank you for donors. One of them is for every $25 Canadian that you donate, you get one chance to win the grand prize or one of the other great prizes in our next charity raffle, which will be at the end of June 2023. In addition, if you donate $10 or more, so you only need to donate $10 to do this, you get a chance to vote on our charity sessions that we'll be running in the coming year. We have a 6-part linked campaign planned called the Year of Ill Omens. And voting is going on right now for the first session, which we will be playing on February 18th. Voting is still open right now for what epoch, what era we're playing in, but the donors will be voting on not only the time we're playing in, the specific era that we're playing in, the game we're using, and the types of characters that are playing between sessions, which are skipping back and forth across time. You will be able to also vote on certain other aspects of the development of the campaign. So if you donate $10 or more, you get a chance. You don't have to donate the $25. If you do donate $25 or more, every $25 gives you a chance to win, and you also get a chance to vote. The voting will be going on until, what the $10 will give you also is a chance to vote on the next 6 months worth of sessions. After the first raffle this year, we will then be going on to a new one, and we'll have some new options. But yeah, there's lots of ways you can help shape what's going on. And the last thing I'll mention is that one of the prizes we're offering this year, in addition to some great gaming stuff, is a chance to play a game with us. So I will be one of the winners will be winning a session. I'll write a one-shot for you. We'll have some roster players join us for the session, and we're going to record that session. We aren't necessarily going to stream it, but so if you're not comfortable playing on stream, you're going to be able to have just a private game with us. So that's one of the prizes, in addition to some of the other great prizes for next year's charity raffle. So the last thing I will say is a huge thank you to John for diving in on this. I've been itching to get Mage back to the channel for a really long time, and not only to the channel, but just to get it back to the table to play it. And it struck me as something I thought you might really enjoy, and I really appreciate you jumping in and trusting that I'd have something that I hope that you might actually like. So thank you very much for playing today.
Definitely, your track record is spotless. So
That's great. Well, that's good to hear. So for those listening at home, we'll be back in the beaches of Dunkirk in 2 weeks' time with our Savage Marvel game. But until then, we hope that we gave you a couple of hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the strange and supernatural world that has been unfolding in the streets of West Salem in the world of darkness. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.